1984, and the young me was super excited. My dad was going to buy a lorry. With the ridiculous bowl haircut my mother at that point insisted I still endure, this lorry purchase was a somewhat high point in my 8-year-old world. Already the seeds of driving a lorry had been sown into me via the heroic exploits of Jerry Reed Hubbard in Smokey and the Bandit. I wanted to be him, no question, though the urge to own a basset hound never materialised, thankfully. It was freezing cold when I went with Dad in his green Ford Cortina Mark IV estate to a windswept coal yard on a Saturday morning, this in order to view the lorry in question. Apparently the coalman was retiring, and his 1969 14-foot flat Leyland FG550 was up for grabs. It ran, had a short test, and came with various random spare parts. This included a windscreen and several wheels. Dad did a deal, and it was arranged that Ken, my dad's lifelong pal, and he would go back on the Sunday afternoon to drive the truck home. This was getting even more exciting. My father wanted the Leyland because part of his and my grandfather's farming activities included the making of small bales of hay every summer, most of which, up until this point, had been sold to a friend of the family, Alan Hughes, the hay merchant. Dad knew he could get more for it if he delivered the small bales, but Ford's major tractor power could only be endured for so long and so far before it became bloody tedious. Due to this need, we found ourselves following the Smoky Leyland home via various back roads, Ken at the uninsured helm and the Cortina pressed up tight on his tail. No dalliances with law and order occurred, and I passed the next few weekends generally arsing about and playing in the cab, whilst my father slowly renovated the lorry to ministry test standards in order to obtain the fresh plating certificate at Gloucester's Bristol Road station. Despite plenty of pop riveted on tin plates over holes in the cab's floor, and the copious use of isopon filler everywhere else, a grinning father came home with a fresh MOT. He managed to fit a large homemade steel thripple to the back, and the 69 Leyland was now busy most weekends. Dad took it to an auction and bought various building materials for the construction of a new shed in Grandad's yard, this being somewhere for the new lorry to live under cover. I didn't realise it then, but this shed would be where a decade or so later I would be breaking motorcycles and cars for a living. Adverts placed and the various orders came in, leading to many somewhat overloaded and top-heavy trips out with hay all around the 3 counties. Some places became regulars, and the 3 musketeers, myself, Grandad and Father, would be away to fill these deliveries. It felt great up in the cab with them both, untouchable and safe, Dad fighting the heavy steering and cajoling the 4-cylinder diesel along. There were plenty of breakdowns too, of course. I recall one where an injector pipe fractured. Dad clamped it off with a pair of grips, and we progressed home on 3 cylinders, only for him to discover a spare set of injector pipes in the cubbyhole under the driver's seat when we returned home. A quick pause in proceedings to say, please can you subscribe to the channel? Click the little red button and the bell notification, and you will get to see all the latest updates from my channel. All the best, back to the action. The annual test always had my father seriously stressed. One year, having prepped the lorry, he had left it parked by the hay shed ready to go and be inspected the following day, only for myself to suddenly take it in my head and decide driving it around the field would be a good laugh. I was around 12 at the time. Dad came roaring up the ground on his Fordson, dragged me out of the cab and gave me a bloody good hiding for me troubles. There were plenty of smiles too, though. And one incident, when fully loaded and crawling through our local village, the 3 of us were astonished to be overtaken by a cyclist. Not one of these arse-up, head-down racing cyclists, but just some geezer, sat bolt upright, pedalling away on a 3-speed butcher's-type bike. All good things come to an end, though. Water was getting in the oil of the Leyland, and a cracked cylinder liner was discovered. Dad changed it, but the lorry was never quite the same. With my grandfather's illness coming in the early 90s, and then his death in March 91, the old Leyland got pushed into the hedge and replaced with a Bedford CF pickup. I have great memories of the cab of that lorry, up in the passenger seat, driving through town with my dad and sticking my thumb up at other kids from school or the estate, feeling like I was one of my heroes off the telly, just being up and about in that old battered Leyland FG. I knew then that I wanted to drive my own lorry, and so it was to be. Hello there. Thank you for watching my video. If you've enjoyed this one, would like to see a few more, please like, share and subscribe. Buy something from the merchandise channel. It's always good and it's always helpful. Much appreciated. All the best to you.